Okay, hello and welcome back. I've now got you inside my house. I have you as a captive audience. So we've come from Tea Tree Porch. We're entering the house now. So we're coming through this door. And as you can see behind me, we're entering a whole new room. So this is what you're going to see. All right, there is a lot to talk about in this room. So we've come through the entrance and we are now in what I like to call the Traveller Lounge and Dining Room. So I called it the Traveller's Lounge and Dining Room because this is where my guests can come and hang out. And this is where they can just rest, relax with other guests or on their own if there's nobody else here. And I'll give you a quick sweep around and then I'm going to take you through this whole room in great detail. So let's go back and let's start here. So if you ever find a hat rack like something like this or any kind of hat rack or coat rack, you buy it because they're hard to get. Now this one was purpose made. My mother had these made for us many years ago by a beautiful woodworker, and so I find that really handy if people come in with coats and hats. It's great. Now I'm a massive collector, so anything like this, I find anything that adds character and charm to the house I buy. So the op shop had a 75% off sale and I bought all of these beautiful old walking sticks, and I love them because you can tell they've been well used, well worn, and they've got a bit of history about them. So they don't have any other purpose except they're just display. But because it's the Traveller's Lounge, it makes perfect sense that it's walking sticks for people who have come a long way. So that's the sort of thing I like to add in detail. Now, I bought this old piece on Marketplace. Now, you're going to hear me say the word Marketplace a lot. So that's Facebook Marketplace we have going here, but my Marketplace obsession has gone back many years. So I have no problem buying secondhand items. In fact, I prefer it. So when I saw this, I didn't know where I was going to put it because I actually bought it when I was in Brisbane. I didn't even buy it for this house. But I just have a vision once I have a few pieces of where things will go. So on this, I really like to display things like candles, magazines, and then I always try and put natural elements with everything. I like things that are handmade or come from nature, so I always try to add those elements in. And then I've got things like, you know, these ceramic pots and things. But what that really makes this come alive is these two mirrors I've put behind it, and they're literally just leaning up against there. But the good thing is they've just come from Kmart and they didn't cost much. I can't even remember, but $40 each, I think. But it really enhances the space because it bounces light around. So my tip for you is, if you're going to do a sideboard like this, if you can put mirrors behind it, think big and think bold, and then have things that will reflect nicely off it. I then always, as you can see, I'm a big plant girl. So I love one big plant in a room like this if you can. And I particularly like the fact that I can nestle myself in under it when I'm sitting over here on this chair. So this pot probably came from somewhere like a Bunnings, I think it did once again. And this plant's been going strong for years. It's had a couple of moves now. But the trick is with plants is most people water them too much. Just stick your finger in the top. If it's wet at the top, they generally don't need water. So less is more when it comes to indoor plants, believe it or not. But, you know, obviously it has to have good light and ventilation. So now down here, I've got my collection. I've got lots of beautiful books that I've been collecting for years. But you'll see this little retro table under here. That was a Marketplace find. Now, as you can see, I've got a little retro table with a very rustic, I would say probably from somewhere like Indonesia, piece here. And then I've also got it alongside a new piece that's leather. So don't be afraid to mix and match everything. So this piece is new. This leather couch came from Freedom, and the little throw rug came from IKEA, and that little cushion came from a little handmade place in Melbourne. So all sorts of different pieces to create that. So what you want to do is when you step back, you want to have something that looks pleasing as a whole. So from the chair to the plant to the sideboard, they all kind of combine to come together. Over here I've got a beautiful hand-turned lamp. And I do usually do something quirky with my lamps. I love to get something like a tie back or some interesting thing I've found, like an old necklace or something, and I tie it onto my lamps. I don't know why, but I do. These came from a op shop too. These are the most beautiful books. Okay, and they're all about different artists. And they just give me pleasure because the spines of the books are so beautiful, but also it's a lovely thing to sit and read, you know, when you're at home and have some time. And this little table of joy, this is from Lifeline. I bought this at Lifeline in Brisbane. Look at this beautiful thing, but look at this bottom. It's amazing. This is like a hand carved base and it all collapses in together. So it's just unique and interesting. And as you can see, I've sort of got the cushions and the throw that picks up those timber tones. So that's that. Now, I'm really into sharing my secrets. So I'm going to show you my couch. It's looking a little bit skew-iff at the moment. Never mind. It's obviously had too much hard use. Now, this beautiful, beautiful couch, it's made of cream velvet. It was from Lifeline. It came out of a hotel. It had been freshly upholstered, nice and clean, and I snapped it up because it is super comfortable. People can lie on it and I just love it. But it's a beautiful, simple backdrop for everything else that I've got added. Now, as you can see, I've got these LED lights above, and these bring me incredible happiness because when the light comes through them in the afternoons and in the morning when you open them, they're beautiful. So what I did is I found this at a Kabbalah, a place not far from here in Toowoomba. It's this handmade rug with Frida Kahlo on it, and it just picks up beautifully. So I'm always trying to find a reference point, something to reference those LED lights with the rug so it ties things together. Now, in my opinion, a room is not complete without greenery. So next to this lamp, I've got a beautiful old vase, and I got that from the op shop. It's probably cost me a few bucks, not much. And then I always go to the local park with a bucket and some secateurs, or, you know, near a forest, and I usually take off the lower limbs that need pruning anyway. And then I always have this fresh greenery in my house. I think it just makes such a difference of bringing it together. So if I stand back here, you know, without that greenery, that corner just could be a little bit dead. And it doesn't matter if it overlaps things, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I bought this cabinet for $80 at a Lifeline store or something like that. It might have been the Salvation Army. And it's not very well constructed. It's actually not very well made. It's been falling apart. But I found it really lovely as a display cabinet to put all my curiosities into. So all my collections of shells and old books and anything like this that I find in op shops, you know, for a few dollars or whatever, I put into there, and I find that really nice to give the room some colour. I have this beautiful tea set from T2. This is actually new and was a gift from my beautiful friend, and I love it. And I love the colour and I love the way it reflects. So if you can have a cabinet that has no other purpose but to put your pretty things like this in, I don't think that's a problem. And then of course up the top I have my champagne bucket, which no girl can live without. So I've got another chair here, and then a little stool. I usually, if you ever see these little tiny stools anywhere, buy them because they're so easy to move around. They become a side table, a stool, you can stand on them, they're easy. And the other part we've got here is my beautiful steamer trunk. Now I bought this from the antique store in Annerley, I think it was, in Brisbane. Beautiful old thing. And I love it so much. I decided to use it as a coffee table. People rest their feet on it. We clear it sometimes and put cheese and wine on it. And let me just show you something. It's got the original initials on the top there. But look at the details, beautiful, with all this timber and wrought iron. I love it. And on the top, because I spent a lot of time in garden design, I've got garden design books and books about women. This is a beautiful book. Love this book, In the Company of Women. And anything else. So when I was digging in the garden, I found these beautiful rocks. And I know you probably think it's just a rock, but I just thought they were beautiful. And this is a little thunder egg I found in the garden. So I put things like that around because they're beautiful and they mean something to me. And it just makes the room interesting. So that will do for the Traveller's Lounge, because there's also the dining section, but you might be getting tired of my voice. So I shall come back to you with that later. Bye.